What is up, all of you beautiful nerds from around the world? I am, of course, Josh, and this is Nerds Talk Star Wars live, coming at you on a Sunday night. Thanks for everybody who's joining in. If you're watching this on the replay, we have a pretty cool episode today. I wanted to go into some really cool thoughts I was having. Basically, in this video, I want to talk about why I am pretty dang sure that the dark side, mainly the First Order, is actually going to win in Episode 9. And so what that will mean is that from this whole saga, the dark side will end up winning, and the future films will be with the dark side or the First Order reigning over the galaxy, and the Resistance or the Rebels once again kind of like the smaller force there. Okay, so I'm going to go into all of those reasons, talk about where I'm coming up with this theory, why I have these thoughts. There's a lot of evidence to suggest this, in my opinion. Guys, everybody who's in the chat, what's up? Let me know. How is the audio? I figured out what was happening that time when it sounded like I was a robot. I was running two audio channels, one out of my computer as well, which was bad. So let me know how the audio is, guys, and I'm gonna jump right into these points. Just like always, I'm gonna run through all my points, just kind of talk about what I want to talk about. Then we will do Q&A at the end of the video. Hit me up with your questions. If you do a super chat, it guarantees that I answer the question. Should be able to do a lot of Q&A tonight, super casual night. So here we go. So the number one reason, guys, that I think that at the end of episode 9, we're going to be left in a position where the dark side has won and when the First Order is reigning has to do with Galaxy's Edge. Now, a lot of you have been watching the show the past couple of weeks where I talk about Galaxy's Edge, some of the stuff that I was breaking down. But essentially, there's a lot of sources that explain that there are canon types of things, canon stories that will take place in Galaxy's Edge. Galaxy's Edge is, of course, on Batuu. Now, there's a couple of different things here. One, there's said to be a mission at the beginning of your adventure where you will be escaping the First Order, okay? And assuming that this is going to be canon and this is going to tie into what's going on in the current Star Wars world, it would only make sense if the First Order was still around. So if the First Order gets completely defeated and decimated, then there's no way that that would be a thing at Galaxy's Edge. But beyond even that, if they're out on Batuu, if the rebels are having a base out on Batuu, or they're having to hide out at Batuu, it would really suggest that they do not have control of the galaxy, because as of my knowledge, there's no rebel base there, and there's no resistance base there or anything like that. There would be control in the core worlds. If basically what I'm saying is, if the resistance or the rebels were victorious in episode 9, I do not think that they would be having Batuu play such a central role. There wouldn't be bases out there, okay? And so I think that what this is going to do is sort of set up this scenario for the future films, which I'm going to get to in a little bit here, and how this has to do with Reylo. What does this have to do with Ben Solo? Because I have a cool little theory here that I think you guys are going to like. And essentially, I think it makes the most sense for Lucasfilm and Disney to have a scenario for the future of all of their stories, beyond just film, but definitely film, but beyond film, you know, comics, television shows, animated series, video games, everything. It will make sense for them to go into a period where the dark side is sort of winning, where the Empire or the First Order are reigning, and the Resistance are the unlikely heroes. They're sort of like the smaller thing, because that's the idea of hope, right? You sort of want to fight against these impossible odds. And so if you look at the history of the Star Wars films, in the original trilogy, that is the way that it is. The darkness has already reigned. It has won. And the Resistance and the Rebels, just the Rebels in that case, are fighting against impossible odds, trying to do something impossible to overthrow this evil galactic empire, right? But in the prequels, that's not the way that it is at all. In the prequels, the dark side is sort of hidden. It's in the shadows. It's the minority in the equation. Basically, the Republic is strong. The Jedi have been ruling for a long, long time. Master Kenobi says there hasn't been a Sith in 1,000 years. That's what he says, right? That's why they're so surprised. Actually, no, it's Master Mundi that says that to Obi-Wan, I think, in the first in Phantom Menace. But essentially, we're in this situation in the prequels where good and the light side has been reigning supreme. And in the shadows, yeah, Solo, only hope. Oh my God, girls with sabers, you're gonna love where I go with this theory. I think it's pretty cool. I think you're gonna dig it. What's up, everybody in the chat, by the way? And so in the prequels, it's not like that. The light is winning, and the darkness reigns. Okay, so what I'm kind of thinking is because Star Wars is cyclical, it's circular storytelling, and it is poetry. That's something that George has said, right? Pardon me, a little parched. I believe the sequel trilogy is we start the sequel trilogy in a position where hope is winning, right? The Empire has been destroyed. There's the Republic, even though we don't really see them. That's the state of the political. That's what's going on in the galaxy. And the dark side is sort of creeping. Now, leading up to The Force Awakens in some of the ancillary materials, like Snoke and the First Order is this mysterious thing. The Republic did not think they were worth even like mentioning. The Republic was not afraid of them at all. At this point, the Empire had been demilitarized. The Republic itself had been majorly demilitarized. And Leia was one of the only people that had the foresight to know that Snoke and the First Order was real trouble, and that they really had to prepare for this. Like, this was going to be bad. So, but I say all that to let you know that the light side was winning, right? So if you look at the pattern here, if they were to do episode 10, 11, and 12, would it not make sense that we would go into a period of darkness? Now, what happened after the trilogy of films that were all when the light side was winning, but the dark side was rising? We could see it happening. Well, that was the creation of Lord Vader, right? That was the end of Revenge of the Sith. That was the fall of the hero, okay? Do some of you know where I'm going with this? Do you know where I'm going with this? The reverse Anakin? We'll get to that in just a second, okay? But, so, what I think is going to happen in Episode 9 will mirror what happened in the prequels. Okay, what happened in the Lord Rey? Oh man, I would love it. I would love it. I don't think it's gonna happen though. But essentially mirroring what would happen in the prequels, we would be set in a time period where the darkness is reigning, and we can have all these different heroes, all these new people struggling against the might of this First Order, right? But here's the thing. I do not think that. Well, I do think it's going to end in a turn of our main character, a turn of a Solo, a turn of a Skywalker. But it will not be that he turns to the darkness. Kylo is already on the dark side. Instead, what I think will happen in Episode 9 is that Kylo will turn to the light. Okay, now you might be saying, wait a minute, how is this possible? How could Kylo turn to the light, but darkness would win? Well, because I think that Kylo has already done enough to set things in motion that will cause the dark side to be winning. And whether it is Hux, whether it is another one of Snoke's apprentices, whomever, there will be someone within the First Order that maybe even if they're not a Knight of Ren or a Force wielder, they will take control of it. They will cause it to continue to do its thing and crush the galaxy. And Ben Solo will turn. He will not be able to be a part of it anymore, or perhaps something will happen with Rey where she turns him, gets him to leave, or perhaps even she's destroyed trying to save him. Now, what I really think is going to go on is that in the next series of films, just like we saw Anakin Skywalker for 3 films, and then we saw Lord Vader, we will see the reverse with Ben Solo. We will see Kylo Ren for 3 films, and then we will see Ben Solo for 3 films. Now, the reason I like this so much is because at the one thing that the first inkling that I had that yeah, Marcos, that would be cool. The first inkling that I had of this theory happening was when Kylo said in The Force Awakens that he feels the pull to the light side. I was like, yo, this dude is being pulled to the light side? Well, what's happening with Anakin during the prequel trilogy? He's being pulled to the dark side, and he eventually succumbs to it. So what is going to happen with Ben Solo, in my opinion, is that we will leave off in a position where he sort of turns, but the damage is, so to speak, already done. The First Order has already crushed them. They're already going to win, okay? And what we will see in the next series of films will be Ben Solo returning and having to overthrow the First Order, to overthrow whatever evil powers that be are in control, and to liberate the galaxy. And I think the reason I like this, the reason I like this so much, is because it's a 6-film arc, which is, I think, is a lot of time to sort of grow and to fall in love with the character and to allow this kind of thing to happen. The biggest thing that people complain about when it comes to Kylo, and when it comes to Kylo turning to the light side, is the fact that, like, he's done so many horrible things. He's done so many horrible things in a very short period of time. As far as cinematically what we've seen, he's done so many horrible things. So the way to let that breathe is to have it come in the next 3 films. And I don't even think he necessarily has to be a main character, but he will be. Like, he will be. But I think that what will happen is he'll come back, and yeah, the galaxy will not forgive him for the things that he's done, but they will see that he is, like, over time they will understand that he is the one to save it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's probably the only one that will have the power and the ability to overthrow darkness and to liberate the galaxy. And through that, and maybe even self-sacrifice in the end, which, you know, would be kind of lame, but it does kind of seem that that's the way. That's all right, Ella. We'll see you later. Drop a comment later. Have fun. But that's kind of where I'm at with it, guys. I think that it would be super compelling. I think that if he were to turn like that and give us 3 more films, the galaxy itself, like, wouldn't forgive him. There's this guy, like, he would be beating himself up so much. But, like, imagine him convening with Luke, convening with other Jedi, you know, having to do this. It's the exact opposite, like, of what happened with Anakin. He has all this baggage of his Jedi life when he becomes Darth Vader. Like, there's scenes in Lords of the Sith that I love so much where Palpatine sort of jests at him about this, the fact that he had this Jedi training, that he had spent so much time on the light. It was something that was going to be thrown in his face, so to speak. Well, it's going to be the same thing with Ben. Like, even though he will turn and I believe come back to play a key role in saving the galaxy, he'll that'll be brutal. And guys, here's the last thing I want to say about this theory, and then we'll go into Q&A, and we'll do a ton of Q&A, okay? Because what's up, Alex? I'll talk about Comic-Con in the Q&A in just a second. So check this out. This is where it really gets crazy for me, and I would love it. Girls with Sabers, I'm not sure about that. I do believe that Kylo did, or that Adam Driver did. I do not think Daisy did, actually, though. But maybe she did. Which kind of would suck, right? What if she gets killed in 9, and then Kylo has to deal with that? Oh my goodness. Be terrible. But here's the thing I think is going to be wicked cool, and also just evil, but crazy. Imagine General Hux. If they could somehow redeem Hux, like, I'm open to it. I think those of you that have been watching the channel for a long time, you know how badly I hated what they did to him in The Last Jedi. It's one of the things that really irks me about that movie. But if they can somehow redeem him, imagine a crazy, insane, evil Hux somehow finds the Force Child and somehow takes the Force Child of Rey and Kylo after defeating them, you know what I mean? And, like, Kylo and Rey, like, make it, or maybe just Kylo makes it. And he takes that child and raises him up as his own Sith or like dark Jedi kind of apprentice of sorts, you know, guardian or whatever. And that character starts to destroy the galaxy and cause all this pain and ruin. And we get, you know, we sort of move into maybe the Solo saga, so to speak, right? This is a Solo child that is, wreaking havoc on the galaxy, and his own father, Ben, will have to turn him and save him. You know what I mean? And I think that would be an incredibly compelling way to take the story. And so for all of those reasons, I think it's pretty possible that we will leave off in episode 9 in a situation where the dark side is winning, where the First Order is winning. But that does not mean that Ben Solo will be on that side. I think that he will sort of, go to the light, and that will be sort of the compelling way to redeem him over a 6-film arc. because he is indeed the reverse Anakin. We had 6 films before Disney. It was an arc about Anakin Skywalker. I think it is the parallels between Kylo and Anakin are so prevalent, and yeah, that's the way I think that they could take it. So let's do some Q&A, guys. We'll probably go for like 40 minutes or so. I don't want to lose my voice. It was a long weekend at Comic-Con talking and all that. Okay, let's start with this one by Jared Montague. Sorry if I'm bad at pronouncing names, man. Is Snoke Darth Plagueis? If not, who do you think he is? And will we understand more about him in episode 9? I think we will get a little bit more about him in episode 9. I think Snoke is an amazing character, and I really hope that we get more of him also filled in before episode 9. But he's not Darth Plagueis. However, what if we get Darth Plagueis? You know what I mean? Like, what if Darth Plagueis comes back? Like, out of nowhere. I'd be totally okay with that. You know what I mean? Or, you know, the other thing that I'm leaning towards is I almost believe that, like, Snoke was a part of more, like, that alien race. Perhaps the race that he is from the unknown regions. Maybe they're super strong with the Force. And maybe we get, like, more of them. What if there were, like, 8 of those dudes? You know what I mean? That'd be nuts. It reminds me a lot of the Rakata Empire. Question: what do you think they will do with Ezra? What could he be doing? The little Jake 1.7. What's up? What's up, little Jake? So here's what I think about that. They're going. What am I trying to say here? Sorry. Timothy Zahn said that he wants to badly write that story with Thrawn and Ezra, and he has a ton of ideas for it. However, they have to wait to see if Dave Filoni wants to do anything with him. That's what Timothy Zahn said in an interview. Let me tell you a secret about Timothy Zahn. He's a dirty liar. Okay, when I talk to Timothy Zahn, I love you, Tim, if you're watching this. I seriously do love you. When I talked to Tim, I want to say it was 2 years ago, I was specifically asked, was it 2 years ago? I don't remember. It was after the first Thrawn novel came out. So probably last year, maybe 2 years ago. Sorry. So when I talked to him, I said, man, that story in the book, in the first Thrawn novel about Anakin and Thrawn, I'm so intrigued by that. I was like, man, like, what do you want to do with that? And he gave me that same vanilla answer where he was like, I have some stories in mind, but we'll have to wait and see about if they want to do anything with them. He knew damn well he was working on that book. My theory is that not only is there going to be a plan for Ezra within another show that Dave Filoni has okayed, but we'll also get him in the novel. I don't think Ezra Bridger's going anywhere. The Rebels is over, but his character will remain for a while. Marcos Zotas. I feel that they aren't revealing a lot of details about the second apprentice because he or she is powerful AF. That stands for as fuck. Oh shit, sorry kids. Hey, look, that's a cool idea. I love the idea of the second apprentice. I really do. I think it's kind of cool. The second apprentice of Snoke coming in. There's other apprentices of Snoke, but what does that mean with the Knights of Ren? You know what I mean? Either way, I think the more Force users we get, the better. The reason the Snoke's apprentice is cool is because it would be nice to have another character that was on the level of Kylo. It's just a basic rule of storytelling. What's up? See you, girls with sabers. Enjoy your pizza. It's a rule of storytelling. You need stakes. In order for those stakes to be believable, like, you need characters on the same playing field. Like, if Kylo is just going to beat everybody, if there's nobody in the First Order that can use the Force, if he crushes the Jedi, then there's no stakes. It's terrible. So to make this work, you need a character on his level, and it would help if they had a very strong reverence for Snoke, because obviously Kylo killed Snoke. Perhaps they could sense that, cause a lot of drama and tension. That would be really cool. Finno Rock 10. Question: can the rest of the films be successful if, God forbid, Rey dies? I can't see other person for Ben except her. Padme died. My question on that is, yeah, the films will be fine if Rey dies, because if Rey does die, if she's not going out, she'll go. If Rey dies, it's not that as though she will just go out like a punk. Like they're not going to allow that to happen. But she could go out for an incredible sacrifice. She could go out doing something insane, something on the level of what Luke did with the Force projection, something really wild, and they could give her a terrific send off and she would be with the Force. I truly believe that. So no, I think they'd be fine. What would be? I can even see a scenario when she does die and then comes back to visit Ben as a Force ghost, and because Ben is such a weird, complex character, I could see this being a thing where he finally like falls in love with this girl. She's ripped away from him in order to save him, so that he can ultimately save the galaxy. He feels this weight, and it's connected to his love that he has for her. That's probably that could be the way. So yeah, I totally think that they could kill off Rey and do it in a tasteful way, and I do not think people would lose their mind. Sarah Simpson, cool question. Of what earlier people said about the balance, question, must there always have to be a chosen one to bring balance? That's kind of interesting. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. There's technically they could always retcon these things, right? And the Jedi have this beloved prophecy of the chosen one. But it's so weird. Even though the Pelagus novel isn't canon anymore, there's some really cool stuff where Pelagus is talking about this prophecy to Palpatine, and just kind of talking about how ridiculous it is, and that they put their blind faith in this thing, kind of making maybe meta commentary on religion and stuff like that. I don't really know if the chosen one from the Jedi's perspective was meant that it was that he would destroy the Sith once and for all. And yeah, Hawks Holocrons is kind of saying it, false prophecy. What if the chosen one prophecy was invented by a Sith? You know what I mean? Something that had infiltrated the Jedi Order or something like that. It's very possible. I don't think that the chosen one is a pure thing. I don't know how to explain this. Basically, prophecies in a lot of films. Like if you look at the Harry Potter series, according to all the rules of the prophecy, I truly believe that Neville Longbottom is actually the chosen one, according to the prophecy. Now, Harry kind of fits all of the things as well, and Harry also happens to have the power, the ability to destroy Voldemort, as he is one of the Horcruxes and whatnot. So the thing that I've always found that good writers do with prophecy is that it's a thing that happens. It's a set of circumstances, and all it really does, especially with people, is it empowers them to take on this mantle, and it gives people a reason to believe in them. So the prophecy of the chosen one was this thing, but with Anakin, it weighed on him. You know what I mean? It made his journey in the Jedi weird. The Jedi looked at him differently, treated him differently, and things like that. You know what I mean? The Masters and everything. And so, what if that was planned? You know, what if that's the way they wanted it? I can see a tricky Sith being like, "Let's make up this prophecy," and then the moment the Jedi get an amazing, powerful Force user, they'll treat him all different because they think he's some kind of prophet-sized thing, and that will alienate him, turning him to the dark side. But that's a good question. I like it. Rey could totally be a Force child, actually, Ruth. I like that a lot, actually. I would love for Rey to be a child of the Force and to be sort of, maybe not a virgin birth. Maybe that's not the right way to say it. But yeah, like if she was sort of born of the Force without actual parents, it would make a lot of sense. It would also explain a lot of how she can do some of the things that she can do, including take the imprint of Kylo when they do the mind melding thing. What is up, Luis? How are you, man? Or is it Luis, a lady? I can't see your thumbnail because my screen is all small. Opinions on Broom Boy. Hey, lady. Nice. Well, welcome, Luis. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. I think I am. Um, Opinions on Broom Boy. So, okay, so the Broom Boy scene, at first it bugged me, but when you think about it in context, it, I believe Driver is signed up for 6 films, David. When you look at it in context, the Broom Boy scene is important because it makes it known to that the galaxy is now aware of Luke Skywalker and that he has reattained his mythic status. Okay, Luke needs to reattain the status of a mythic hero because hope is the ultimate thing. Like if people have hope that Luke Skywalker is fighting for them, that he did this thing, stood up to the First Order, it's so important that be out there. Otherwise, Luke's sacrifice doesn't mean as much. And so the Broom Boy scene is critical. Now, the fact that he like draws the broom to him, which I actually missed the first time, is a very cool thing. You can interpret that scene in a million different ways. I do believe it's sort of trying to say we're democratizing the Force a bit. The Force is now awakening across the galaxy because of Luke. And so we're going to get more children of the Force. Maybe this kid always sort of had that ability. I mean, we see that he's good with the animals and stuff, so perhaps a little bit of an Ezra kind of thing going on. Yeah. So I like the Broom Boy scene. I don't think he's returning as a character. You know what I mean? That would be kind of cool, but maybe not. I don't know. Ella, do you think we'll get more backstory to Rey's parents, or do you think that Kylo's little monologue is all we're going to get? I don't think that's all we're going to get, though it could be. I mean, it could be. It really just depends on what JJ wants to do here. There's a lot of rumors out there that were saying that basically like this was not JJ's plan, that he will sort of retcon this idea and have her lineage be important. Actually, a lot of evidence to suggest that, guys. Like seriously, a lot. Like real talk. Like Ryan probably threw that out. But here's the thing. I just don't know if it's that important. So I don't know if they're going to spend too much time on it unless it's important to the story, right? So unless it's an important like aspect of what's going on, then they'll spend some time on it. They could still retcon it without it being a major plot point, so we wouldn't get like much explanation for it. You know what I mean? Like maybe Luke is just straight up Obi-Wan in her. He's in his Force Ghost form. He sits down on a log and he says, "You know, I always thought the granddaughter of Kenobi would be doing," you know what I mean? Like, or something like that. And she's like, "What?" And he's like, "That's right," you know, blah, blah, blah. Because this is all wise Luke. So maybe just that. But yeah, I think there's more to her story, at least more to her story than we've been told so far. I mean, she's a conduit for the light, we get it, but like there should be more to that story. Let's go to Dr. Aphra. Love that character, by the way. How do you think the story will develop if Ben Kylo dies? So it's a distinct possibility that Kylo Ren dies. It is. That's what's kind of cool about Episode 9. Rey could die, Kylo could die. They could both die. You know what I mean? I can see Disney doing all of that. If Kylo dies, I think that he'll probably die redeeming himself and sort of set the galaxy up for a better place, and perhaps even leave Rey with, you know, not only this cost or whatever, but like potentially like power, you know, insight, and a chip on her shoulder, a reason to fight the dark side. You know, he could say, you know, like something about how they could have been together if not for like the dark side or something. So I think it's completely possible the way that the story would do it. I still believe that the First Order will reign, and that something will be done to sort of redeem Ben Solo and to sort of retake the galaxy for the light side, as it were. Yeah, they could both die for the will of the Force. You know, a lot of people. What's really interesting is, so this Mortis, the gods, the Mortis gods, as Palpatine refers to them in the final season of Rebels, and I think he even talks about them in the Thrawn novel, the Mortis gods. It's so cool. But yeah, so the people in Mortis, the father, the son, and the daughter, some people were saying that like it could be possible that some of the characters we know transcend over there and become those entities, or sort of are important to the cosmic force for a different reason. There's a lot of that we don't know when it comes to the future of the Force. The white outfit that Ahsoka's in, when we see her at the very end of the epilogue in Rebels, that's very interesting. Like, what the hell's going on there? The Bendu, and Mortis and all these different things. So there could be something really cool going on cosmically where they are indeed drawn into the Force, both died to balance it, perhaps, and we're left with the Force child and maybe even other children of Kylo Ren and Rey having to stumble through life and drama the way that all good stories do. Well, if they both die, is there balance? Maybe. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why they do it. Good question. That's a good line of thought. Yeah, that arc in the Clone Wars is incredible. So incredible. Dr. Avra, you are welcome for answering your question. Thanks for checking out the stream. Yeah, the Mortis arc is so good. I seriously, if you have not seen the Mortis arc in Clone Wars, and I would say the last couple of episodes with Yoda and the Force Priestesses, amazing stuff. All that comes from the mind of George Lucas. Dave Filoni studied directly under George and was taking these ideas and bringing them into a kids show, but in a way that's just so compelling. Ruth, I like all of those ideas. I don't know. I just don't see them necessarily going that way with the Rose character. I do think they will do that with Hux. It's very possible that they'll try to turn him around, but I do not see that with Rose. Yeah, I think the Solo Skywalker line is too important. I think they're going to continue. I don't think this is the end of that line. It's the end of the Skywalker saga, right? I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I think that's just really good marketing, the end of the Skywalker saga. They could do that, and if they surprise us and there's still the Force child, if Rey and Kylo have kids or Ben Solo lives, that's okay. Like, it's not that big. It's not that big of a deal. I still think it'll bring closure in a lot of ways to the Skywalkers. There's said to be a really important scene with Leia and Luke and in general, I think is really important to this movie. And so, yeah, I think it'll be a send off for the Skywalkers. Hmm. Yeah, Kylo is definitely toxic to Rey. Rey deserves better. That's an interesting thought. It's a fairy tale though, Dr. Afra. Like, that's the thing you got to remember. Like, this is not a postmodern story. Like, this is a fairy tale. And so in the end, they're sort of pitted to be lovers. She can sort of bring out the best qualities in him. It's the Beauty and the Beast story. You know what I mean? He's a monster. He's a monster. And they say it a lot in the film, too. It's compelling. Why does she love him? Well, we don't choose who we love. You know what I mean? Dude, Hawk's Holocrons. By the way, guys, Hawk's Holocrons is the biggest Reylo shipper I've ever seen. This guy's got a Reylo tattoo. Actually, Scotty was just visited Mark Hamill's star on the Hollywood. I saw that, Scotty, on your Instagram. That's dope, dude. Mark Hamill's star. What age is it? What age is it a good age to introduce kids to Star Wars? I'd say pretty early. There's a really um There's good stuff, and with this Resistance show coming out, and Forces of Destiny and different things, and the Clone Wars. I say start them early. I have a buddy whose baby, literally baby, couple weeks from being born, they would put on Clone Wars to like put him to sleep and stuff. And now that kid is like in to Clone Wars, a little bit older. Yeah, Sarah, I totally get that. I mean, I'm actually pumped for Resistance. I actually think it looks really cool. It does look like it's geared towards kids for sure. But I mean, Rebels and Clone Wars is technically geared towards kids, and it has amazing storytelling. There are scenes in Rebels where I'm just like, I get that Star Wars feeling, and I get like just captured and taken to that place. Whether it be the music and just the way they shoot the planets and stuff, it just evokes those feelings. I definitely think we're getting that in the show. So we'll get that, and I love pilots. I love the flying. I love the ships. So I'm actually pumped for Resistance. How does Kylo go from killing his father to redemption and survival? Well, it's the same thing that happens with Anakin. I mean, okay, let's just take it down the list. Maybe Anakin killed Padme, the mother of his children and his love. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe Palpatine was messing with him. Either way, it sure wasn't good to that girl towards the end. He killed a bunch of younglings, or yinglings as the meme says, which is hilarious, but that's real talk. He killed a temple full of younglings, hunted down Jedi, killed them, was responsible for the turn that killed pretty much all of the Jedi. How did that guy get redeemed? You know what I mean? Like, how did that happen? How does he pop up as a Force Ghost at the end of the movie? It's because it's a fairy tale, dude. It's a fairy tale. He's a wizard, Harry. He did all these terrible things with his power. Then he doesn't, and does something for good and sets people up for a better life. You see, what's interesting about the new flutist, I like that idea. Kylo's evil deeds feel mostly contrived to me. I have a measure of agreement with you, but the thing that makes them compelling is the fact that he's more drawn to the light than any of them. So it's like when he sins, it really reminds me of like the tear that Anakin has going down his face in the Revenge of the Sith. It's like he's killing himself. He's breaking his own heart, but he also in some ways feels like he's sort of unshaken by it. He's just like kind of zen about it, right? Some of the things he does, it doesn't feel like it's very charged, even though he's a very emotional person. And his just the well of emotion, like I love in the Last Jedi novelization the way that like Luke refers to him when he feels him within the Force, like on Crate. He's just like this storm of anger and jealousy and rage and this broken boy, you know what I mean, with immense power. I like it. Do you believe JJ can bring back some of the lost fans? I absolutely do. I think Disney is in a great situation because because JJ's the guy. A lot of the people that don't like The Last Jedi, they did like The Force Awakens. Now there's a group within them that didn't like any of them. That's fine. But there's plenty of people that did not like The Last Jedi that love The Force Awakens. I know a lot of people like that. And if JJ returns to form, fixes a few things up, and gives us a hell of a movie, yeah, totally. Those fans are coming back. Like, look, a lot of these fans in the fandom menace, they're making a bunch of noise, and I get it. And they are upset. And perhaps even rightfully so in some ways they're upset. I don't think they channel that aggression well, and they don't even, like, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. But point being, they're not as mad as they claim. They want just a good Star Wars movie. If JJ gives them that, they will watch it. They will watch it, and they will be right back on board. And if Disney is smart, they will set up the future films in a more compelling but yet familiar way. And we'll all get back on the same page and be loving Star Wars. Do you agree Kylo is more similar to Anakin? Oh no, I missed the question. Hang on, I'm going to try to scroll back up. Do you agree Kylo is more similar to Anakin Skywalker before his falling, the tantrums and not controlling his feelings? Yeah, I kind of do. I think that that's a totally fair thing. Like, it's really similar. They're just on different sides. Like, they're very similar characters. They even look similar. They act similar, definitely. They both have weird love interests, you know? Yeah. No, I see a lot of similarities, and they'll probably be more similar. Like, the way that Vader was, like, kind of quiet, um, more controlled, uh, so strong in the Force, and just mature as a personality, as an entity. Yeah, that's what we'll get out of Ben Solo when he comes back, when he turns back to the light. That's what's going to happen, in my opinion. I think he'll be a lot like a light side Vader, which is interesting. Yeah, Drea, I agree. I think that's probably the way that it's going to go down. Some of the leaks sort of suggest that, and I think that's a brilliant way to do it. I think that's a brilliant way to do it. Family. It's always about family in the main context of the conflict for Star Wars. Well, the biggest see, the thing is, the plot twist in Episode 9 is going to be that like Kylo Ren and Rey are in love. That's going to be like part of it. But like most of us know that. Most of the Reylo community knows that. So it's not going to be as hard hitting. I do also believe they're going to go for this weird thing where Kylo's like a good leader, but he's also secretly like mad evil because of the Star Forge. Perhaps stuff that's you know out in the unknown regions. You guys have heard about that, right? Yeah, that's a very good point, Marcos. The one thing that's interesting about The Last Jedi is it leaves JJ almost unlimited options. Like, there's so many different places it can go. The thing that I love the most about the setting that we go into for the future is the fact that Kylo's in charge of everything. Like, yo, for the first time ever, a Skywalker is actually doing it. They're actually in charge of the galaxy. You know what I mean? Anakin wanted to do it. Vader wanted to do it. Luke didn't really want to do it, but hmm. Yeah, and you know what else is really cool about that? On a side note, just the fact that he sets it up is, and I've said this before in videos, but JJ sort of has a chip on his shoulder. Even before all the Last Jedi drama, he had a chip on his shoulder because people said stuff like, "Oh, your film's so basic." You know what I mean? It's the remake of A New Hope. It's derivative. Like, it's not a new kind of idea. And I think JJ really took a lot of that criticism to heart, and so I think he's gonna like expand. So like, I don't think we're going to get like a safe play, like it'll return to form, it'll play the notes that we're used to, but perhaps in an interesting way. I really think that this is going to be like one of the best JJ films ever. And there's just a perfect storm of controversy. And I love when artists or performers or athletes have a chip on their shoulder. I really believe they do a lot of good work under those circumstances. Probably gonna go for like 15 more minutes, guys. Ask me any questions that you want about this here crazy Star Wars thing. If you're watching this on the chat, you'll probably have to go watch the replay to go over my theory about why I think we'll get 3 more films and why I think the dark side will probably end up winning at the end of episode 9. What would be Finn's endgame? I'm not sure, but I do hope that Finn makes it, and I hope that Finn continues to thrive as a character. We've seen a lot, like, I don't know, his story arc has sort of been wishy-washy in a lot of ways. I hope he becomes, like, he sort of becomes a hero at the end of The Last Jedi, like, for real, even though it's kind of in a weird way. So I'd really like for him to be a big player moving forward and to be really heroic. That would be cool. Yes, Paige Roberts, you're definitely going to want to go check out the theory. You will love it, especially if you're a Reylo person. But yeah, it's all about Kylo turning, but the First Order reigning. So yeah, he would come back in the next 3 films as Ben Solo. Yeah, Finn will be a leader for sure. He'll be a leader in Episode 9. To be completely honest with you, he'll be a leader, as will Oscar Isaac. No, Poe will be a leader for sure. Poe, but they're both military people. That's what's really interesting. And Finn, because of the knowledge he has of the First Order, is so valuable. So valuable. So yeah, I think Poe and Finn together as leadership roles reminds me a lot of like Han and Lando. You know what I mean? The generals. You know, that'd be so cool. I think they're both capable of being leaders. Yeah, who would resign for 3 more? Well, they could do a big time jump though. They could sort of. I also have kind of had this thought that like I feel like this sequel trilogy is the baton passing, but it's sort of the baton passing to the baton passers. That sounds so ridiculous even as I say it, but meaning that like we'll get another big time jump before probably 10, 11, and 12, and a lot of the characters that we know will be much older that will move the story forward. And so like when Finn comes back, he'll be sort of a legacy character, but his attachment to the old legacy characters and the fact that he knows the old dogs, the old war dogs, the Han Solos, the Leia Organas, the Luke Skywalkers. That will be like why that legacy lives on within that character. So you'll have these legacy characters kind of come into to this new setting, and because they are the only characters in this new setting that have a connection to the old characters that we love and admire, that makes the baton passing a little bit better. So that's kind of what I think they're gonna do. Yeah, Paige, I do not. Her question's cool. It's about do I think Rey will be pregnant in Episode 9, or do you think the Skywalkers will actually end? No, no, no. Rey's gonna be pregnant. In fact, there's a big, massive rumor, and I actually did it. What's funny is I did a theory video about this on Amino. So I was doing an exclusive deal with Amino, and I was doing Star Wars Sundays videos, which have been going on for a long time. They're gonna go on forever. So subscribe and come back every Sunday for Star Wars stuff. But I was doing a video on Amino, and I had this idea that maybe when they touched hands, they had conceived a child through the Force. And there was actually evidence for this, including some comments that Ryan made, some things that Daisy said. I was like, yo, I thought it was a cool theory. The internet lost its mind and hated me to the point where I almost lost my contract. Not really. They love me over there. But I was like, do you guys still want me to make videos for your app? But yeah, so that ended up being sort of proven in the leaks. The leaks that came out, which they're leaks. We don't know if they're true or not, but that same person did get stuff right in The Last Jedi. So it's really hard to deny the first set of leaks. Now, there's a ton of Mike Zero stuff that is like, where's the evidence for that? I do not know. But the big leak that happened months ago, that seems legit. It really does. And in that leak, they talk about how there's already going to be a child, and it already is Kylo's. So there'll be this time jump, and Rey will not be pregnant in Episode 9. She will have already had a child. So it's a 5-year thing, and they conceived that child in The Last Jedi. 9 months after that, she has that child. So the child's like 4 or 5. There was casting call for a kid that age for episode 9. So there's a lot of people that believe they're going to be the Force child will be in episode 9. By the way, go watch the video I did on the Force child. Just search in YouTube, the Force child. It should pop up. Yeah, Disney can re-sign contracts. You know, I don't know this for sure, but what I have heard is that Adam Driver signed up for 6 and Daisy did not. That's what I've heard, but I don't know if that's true. Hazel, what's up? Hey, you'll have to probably watch on the replay to see what I was talking about. I think you'll really like it. It has to do with Ben. It has to do with the First Order and different things like that. Chris Weinberger, good question. How does Rey not know who her parents are for most of the 2 films, but when Kylo asks her if she knows, she says they're nobodies? Was she just suppressing her memories of them until that point? So, okay, so there's a couple of things going on in this scene. Rey and Kylo are not only they have the Force connection, their minds are sort of melded. You know, Snoke says this, and whether or not, a lot of people are like, no, Snoke didn't meld their minds. I don't know about that. I think he probably did, but perhaps he sort of like was playing with fire, didn't realize what he was doing. That maybe even Snoke himself was just acting out as the will of the Force. The cosmic Force willed these two to be together, but their minds are sort of melded. They know things about each other. They can feel things about each other that other people cannot feel. This goes into the intimacy, but essentially, like, it's hard to say whether or not Kylo could be knowing this, because he says, this was very interesting. He finds that truth about her parents, or at least what he believes to be the truth of her parents, when they touch hands. I saw something when we touched hands. That's what Rey says. She's talking about the throne room scene. He saw something too. And then he's also thinking about the throne room scene, that they're going to stand together. But the future's always in motion, right? But essentially, he knew her parents were nobody from her memories. So perhaps even by him sort of explaining that, it's jogging her memory. She's like, yeah, I guess I was in denial about this. You know what I mean? And this is the way that I feel. Also, after the thing with the mirrors on Octu, it's a big moment. There was something going on there. Rey could have had a lot of revelations. Malcolm Brooks, love this question because I'm such a fanboy. And sorry, your question's already disappeared in the chat, but I remember what it was. Do you believe that Kylo is stronger than Anakin Skywalker because some of the things that he does, including stopping blaster bolts? The answer is yes. So here's what's really cool. Anakin was incredibly powerful. He did a lot of things well. Kylo is incredibly powerful. I would argue Kylo is more powerful than Darth Vader. Maybe more powerful than Anakin in his prime. And this is because George has said in the past that if the Vader thing had not happened, Anakin would have just been unstoppable, like unstoppable. And so the suit and that sort of does hinder him in some ways, even though he's obviously the most capable Sith there is and just incredible. So the thing that I always think about when it comes to Kylo is, yeah, he's that strong. He's that powerful. He's more powerful than Anakin, probably, or more powerful than Vader, probably more powerful than Anakin. But he's so emotionally unbalanced that when he gets emotionally distraught, it's over for him. His weakness is his inability to stay balanced. That's why he loses to Rey in the forest, among other things, you know, getting shot and things like that. But the Snoke calls him, says, look, and the deed split you to the bone. You were unbalanced, beaten by a girl who had never held a lightsaber. Killing his father was supposed to make him stronger. There's just something echoed in the novelization. Kylo says that it puts him, he's weaker than he's ever been after that moment. So, you know, he's doing all this stuff and he's not stable, so he can't use it. It's like, yeah, it's like being inside your own head too much. Kale Eddie. How much time will pass at the end of the next, or before the next movie plays out? Force Awakens and The Last Jedi felt like it all went down over a crazy weekend. It does kind of have that feeling. It really does, which was not, I don't think was the best choice, honestly. I think they should have let it breathe a little bit. I think it'll be about 5 years. I think we will see about a 5-year gap before episode 9. I don't know. I don't know so much that it's hidden. So, okay, so Marcos, there's a possibility that they're going to explain this further because there's different things in the books that suggest that like Kylo has seen Rey. There's this potential, and I really like this theory. I might do a more in-depth theory about it. That Kylo has already seen that Rey is like his future, that he like loves her, that they will be together. He's maybe seen that already, and he maybe has seen Rey's past as well. You know what I mean? And so that's why he says stuff like, "What girl?" Oh, the girl I've heard so much about. And then in the novelization, oh, it is you. You know what I mean? And Rey sees the boy in her vision when she touches the saber. She sees the boy and Snoke. You know, so look, there's a lot of weird, trippy stuff going on here. I would imagine they're getting like Matrix-like downloads from the cosmic force, and it's probably confusing. It's all right, Christina, that you missed it. It's totally cool. The replay will go up, I don't know, like a half hour or 40 minutes after this. And I would suggest watching at least the beginning of it so that you can see what I'm talking about with why the dark side will win. Paige, love that train of thought. Possible. Very possible. Malcolm Brooks, do I think that Kerry Russell's role will be Rey's mother? No, I don't. I think she's going to, well, my hope is that she's like a Force user. She's a version of the Mara Jade character, but like with Kylo and perhaps the Knights of Ren. That's what I hope. But in all likelihood, she could be a Resistance member. I do not think she'll be Rey's mom, though. No. Hazel, I did not hear that. Hit me up in the comments. What did Jason Fry say about that? Yeah, David, exactly, David. That's the thing. So, like, you know, like he sees that Padme's gonna die, and it causes this crazy thing. Well, what if like Kylo is seeing that he will end up with Rey, and he's just like, but he's just not doing it right. You know what I mean? That's why he's so frustrated. That would explain also why he's so cocky about it, and why he didn't kill her in the forest. Because it says in the novelization, Kylo could have killed her at any moment. I like that, Sarah. That's cool. How credible is Mike Zero videos? Well, you just gotta kind of you gotta like use logic with Mike. Like he will often tell you where it's coming from. If he says it's coming from like a storyboard or something, like look, I don't know. He claims to have sources. A lot of the time Mike will at least, and I know like the community has different opinions on Mike, and I've heard other different things about Mike. I don't know Mike. I've tried to reach out to him, and he has not gotten back to me because I want to talk to him. But my thing with Mike is like you just have to use kind of logic with him. He's gonna clickbait you all the time. And I can usually tell within the first couple of minutes, is this something I want to watch? Is this a theory? Or is this evidence-based at all? Basically, here's the measure of it. If you see other YouTubers talking about it that are more credible, it could be real. If it's just Mike, take it with a grain of salt. And there's nothing wrong with theories. And I think in some ways he even says that a lot of the times, but he doesn't do a good enough job differentiating. All right, I'm going to go for just a couple of minutes here. Thank you guys so much for checking out the stream. We did a lot of Q&A tonight. Super casual, so I'm going to get out of here in just a couple minutes before I lose my voice. Oh, Kale Eddie, I love that question. How do you think Finn, Poe, and the other Resistance guys will take Reylo if it's real? Probably pretty dang bad. They probably won't understand. What mission will the Resistance have? Well, okay, Sarah Simpson, what will the Resistance be doing in 9? They're going to be going around trying to convince planets to join them. They're going to be going around trying to build up their arms and make a big stand against the First Order. And I think it'll be kind of futile. I missed the Jason Fry comment in the comments. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you guys so much for checking out the stream. You guys are amazing. Good conversation in the chat tonight. A lot of positivity. I love it. It's been a long weekend for me, so I'm going to call it here. Come back next week for Star Wars Sunday. Hope to have a guest, go into some cool questions, get nerdy about Star Wars. We'll, of course, be doing the news all week. So most of you guys are subscribers, so you know what's what. If not, subscribe to the channel and... yeah, subscribe to the channel and come back next Sunday for Star Wars. We do Star Wars during the week, though, as well, okay? You guys are all freaking amazing. Thank you, guys. Have a good night, okay? Bye-bye.